Hare Krishna, Acharya Prabhu. It's Vrindavaneshwari.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Good morning.
Good morning. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. How have you been?
Not bad.
Yeah, good.
I'm just getting my books and material together now. I'll be right back.
Sure thing. No worries.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, time to start.
Yep, Prabhu, you can go for it. People will jump on as they do.
Right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jai Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha
Girivaradari
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Nandana Brajajana
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Shodanandana Brajajana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Natira
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Natira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava
Kunja
Bihari
Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha
Girivaradari
Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari.
Jaya
Gopi
Gopi
Jana
Jana
Vallabha
Yashoda
Girivaradari
Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashoda Nanda Vrajajana Ranjana
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Radha
Madhava
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha
Madhava
Kunja
Bihari
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Radha Madhava
Kunja
Bihari
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Stotra Satta Shishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Khan BBD Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Stotra Satta Shishimad. His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kalo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summum Bonum, Chapter 8, Lord Krishna shows the universal form, Text 7. Shri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Ahamacharya Kyataicha Bhuvi Sarvada Sutam Maya Samskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam. How does it go again? I should read through it 3 times and then other people will do, right?
Yes, Prabhu, 3 times, just straight through, and then we'll each take turns. Thank you.
Shri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Ahamacharya Kyatascha Bhuvi Sarvada Sutam Maya Samskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam. Shri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Ahamacharya Kyatascha Bhuvi Sarvada Sutam maya samskritam te manyate devaki sutam.
Shri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Aham Archaya Kayatascha Bhuvi Sarvata Sutamaya Samskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam.
Shri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Aham Acharya Khyatascha Bhuvi Sarvada Sutam Maya Samskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam.
Shri Gaga Uvacha Yaduna Mahamacharya Katyatascha Bhuvish Sarvada Sutamaya Samskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam.
Sri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Aham Acharya Khyatasya Bhuvi Sarvada Sutam Maya Sanskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam.
Anyone else? Word for word translation. Shri Garga Uvacha, Garga Muni said, Yadunam of the Yadu dynasty. Aham, I am. Acharya, the priestly guide or Puruhita. Kyata cha, this is already known. Bhuvi, everywhere. Sarvada, always. Sutam, the sun. Maya, by me. Samskritam, having undergone the purificatory process. Te, of you. Manyate, would be considered. Devaki Sutam, the son of Devaki. Translation. Gargamuni said, my dear Nanda Maharaj, I am the priestly guide of the Yadu dynasty. This is known everywhere. Therefore, if I perform the purificatory process for your sons, Kamsa will consider them the sons of Devaki. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Gargamuni indirectly disclosed that Krishna was the son of Devaki, not of Yashoda. Since Kamsa was already searching for Krishna, if the purificatory process were undertaken by Gargamuni, Kamsa might be informed and that would create a catastrophe. It may be argued that although Gargamuni was the priest of the Yadu dynasty, Nanda Maharaj also belonged to that dynasty. Nanda Maharaj, however, was not acting as a Kshatriya. Therefore, Gargamuni said, if I act as your priest, this will confirm that Krishna is the son of Devaki. Verse again. Shri Garga Uvacha Yadunam Ahamacharya Kyatascha Bhuvi Sarvada Sutam Maya Samskritam Te Manyate Devaki Sutam. Gargamuni said, my dear Nanda Maharaj, I am the priestly guide of the Yadu dynasty. This is known everywhere. Therefore, if I perform the purificatory process for your sons, Kamsa will consider them the sons of Devaki. Hare Krishna. So this is an interesting occurrence, an interesting verse, and we'll try to see what's going on here. Everyone knows the story of Krishna's appearance and then being transferred to Vrindavan to be raised by Nanda and Yashoda, and Vasudeva, poor Vasudeva and Devaki are locked up in the cell in Mathura. So it said that just a few verses ago, it said that Vasudeva inspired, prachodita was the word used, inspired Gargamuni to go and visit Vrindavan and do the Namakarana for his son there. Prabhupada says inspired. Prachodita means ordered or told or suggested. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, in his commentary on this verse, he made a little a little dialogue between Gargamuni and Nanda Maharaj to clarify what's going on here. So this is the dialogue as provided by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Gargamuni said, "Though you are actually a member of the Yadu dynasty, since you are not a Kshatriya, you are not known as a Yadu. I, however, am well known as the priest of the Yadus. If I were not to perform this ceremony secretly, there would be a lot of doubts. Everyone everywhere will think this." Nanda Maharaj replies, "But who will pursue this matter?" And Gargamuni says, "Kamsa will." Nanda says, "But will he, being a Brahmavadi, actually kill you?" And in this sense, Brahmavadi doesn't mean like a Mayavadi or a worshipper of impersonal Brahman. Brahmavadi means someone who follows Brahminical culture. So Nanda says, "So will he, being a Brahmavadi, actually kill you?" Gargamuni says, "Yes, because he is a sinful person. He will kill people like us. He will certainly do it. Because he has committed violence already against your friend Vasudev, he will do the same to you. His evil intelligence will begin to act." So this is the dilemma. This is Vedic culture, very qualified devotees in Vedic culture. And when it's time for samskara, they want to do the proper samskara. Actually, the word used in this in today's verse is samskrita, like Sanskrit. It actually has the same meaning. Samskara means that which is completely done or perfectly done is samskara. So Vasudev, poor Vasudev, he's locked up in his cell. What can he do? He can't do any samskara. He's in jail. So he tries from his limited position. He makes the best arrangement he can. He says, "Okay, Gargamuni, you go and see what you can do about doing the proper ceremonies, because it's such an important part of Vaishnava culture, these ceremonies, samskara, perfectly performed activities." But poor Vasudeva, he's imprisoned. What can he do? And so because of that, so many of his duties are limited for Vasudeva and Devaki. He couldn't protect his wife. Devaki's in jail, and his other wife, Rohini, he couldn't protect her. So, okay, entrust her, send her to Vrindavan to be cared for by Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, and the Brijavasis. And he couldn't even take care of his own child. So he had to sneak baby Krishna out of the prison cell, carry him on his head like that over the Yamuna River, which opened up for him, and take him and replace him with the baby girl to be raised there. So poor Vasudeva, he can't do anything. He's so limited in his abilities to perform his duties, but still in his limited situation, he's doing what he can. He's struggling how he can to perform his duties. And there's always limits. And Nanda Maharaj also, now Nanda Maharaj is in a similar situation. Here's his son, his two beautiful sons. One he thinks is his son, and one is Rohini's son, Krishna and Balaram. And it's time for the Namakarana ceremony. Naturally, and even better, here's Gargamuni, this big, important, great priest and great devotee has come. We'll do a big ceremony. And Gargamuni says, "No, you can't do a big ceremony." Again, by circumstances, you're limited in what you could do. But we'll do what we can. We'll do a small ceremony, a secret ceremony in the barn. We'll do a little thing like that. So this is a good lesson for us, that we want to do everything samskara. We want to do everything to its fullest degree, to its most perfect degree. But we're limited in our ability. We're limited in our wealth. We're limited in our influence. We're certainly limited. I'm certainly limited in my Krishna consciousness. But we struggle, and we do something. It may not be perfectly up to the standard, but we struggle to do what we can. We try to do our best, like Vasudeva does, like Nanda Maharaj does. And if we struggle and if we can't do everything perfectly, but we still are endeavoring with all the sincerity we have and with whatever limited ability we have, then Krishna will accept it. There was no problem with doing the name-giving ceremony in the barn secretly. It doesn't make it a less bona fide ceremony, because ananya chintayanto mam ye jana paryupashate tesham nitya bhyuktanam yogakshema vaham yaham. That if someone's actually fixed in Krishna consciousness, that even if there's some lacking, Krishna doesn't mind. He maintains what the devotee has, and if there's some lacking, Krishna will make up for that, no problem. It's not actually a lacking. If the devotee is on that ananyas chintayantamam, if their mind is fixed on nothing besides Krishna, and what's that? Tesha nitya bhyuktanam, if they're constantly endeavoring and constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, then even if things aren't externally completely perfect, Krishna takes it as perfect. And devotees like Vasudeva and Nanda, what can be said of them if there's some limiting of their external performances? It's no limit at all, because they have unlimited love for Krishna. But for us, we have our limits, we have our compromises, we have our all these things. Sometimes, you may want to do a big, loud, open public performance like a Rath Yatra, and then some situation comes, some legal situation. Oh, the city won't give permission to have a big, gorgeous, beautiful, opulent ceremony, or some pandemic comes and says, no, you can't have this big, beautiful, opulent, Krishna conscious ceremony. So we're limited by so many factors, but we do what we can. We carry on how we can. Just like if you compare with Krishna's birth ceremony, if you go back to Krishna book and look at Krishna's birth ceremony, what an amazing ceremony it was. From the Dharma side, from the religious side, of course, all the Brahmins are there chanting Vedic mantras, and all the proper rituals are performed, and all the ceremonies and mantras and tantras and all these things are being done very perfectly. But beyond that, even more than that, is the whole village turned out, and it's this, big, it's a giant party. It's a huge party. The whole village and all surrounding villages turn out, and they're all singing and dancing, and friends are meeting each other, and they're honoring prasad. And then it gets so wild that they have a food fight. They start throwing, the devotees start throwing yogurt and turmeric on each other, and then they go down to the river and bathe. So it's this big, gigantic party, and it's so blissful, and Krishna's at the center of it all. So it's a beautiful, amazing ceremony, Krishna's Janma birth ceremony. And then here's the Namakarana ceremony, and it's so limited. It's just Nanda Maharaj with the two little boys and Gargamuni in secret, and no one else is taking part, but spiritually it's still just as perfect. And we appreciate, as devotees 5,000 years later reading this, we appreciate both of them as beautiful parts of Krishna's pastime. So this is how this particular pastime is going on. And we'll come back to this, but another point is, just imagine the degree of friendship and closeness between Vasudeva and Nanda, what friends they were. That Vasudeva, he's in this position, he can't protect even his wife and his children, so who does he turn to? His friend Nanda. So just imagine a friendship like that. Imagine yourself, those who have family or children, that if you couldn't protect a child or a family member, who's that person that you can completely trust, that I can't do my duty, so I have to entrust my child or my friend or this particular duty to this friend. So imagine the faith and trust and closeness you would have to have with a friend to be able to do that with a peaceful mind. So this is the closeness and affection between Nanda and Vasudeva. And what's the basis of their friendship? It's hinted at in today's verse. Gargamuni says to Nanda, Yet, yes, you're also a member of the Yadu dynasty, but because you're a Vaishya, people don't really think of you as a member of the Yadu dynasty. But he is, he's also a Yadu, Yadava. And here's the history of that a little bit. We all know there's the famous Yadu dynasty coming down from King Yadu. And within that Yadu dynasty, there are different branches, like there's the Andaka branch and there's the Vrishni branch of the Yadu dynasty. And in the Vrishni dynasty, within the Yadu dynasty, there are so many great and powerful kings, all great devotees. And one of those kings was named Devamida. He was a very powerful, wonderful devotee king in the Yadu dynasty. And at the time, he had his palace, his capital city was Mathura, and he was ruling there in Mathura, this king Devamida. And as kings sometimes do, he had more than one wife. He had one wife who was a Kshatriya lady, and one wife who was a Vaishya woman. They were both his wives, and he had one son with the Kshatriya wife, and he named that son Surasen. And that Surasen, being the son of the king, eventually he inherited the dynasty from his father Devamida, and the Surasen went on to continue ruling in Mathura. But he also had another son from his Vaishya wife, and that son was named Parjanya. Parjanya in Sanskrit literally means like the rain cloud. So just like the rain cloud is full, saturated with all the water drawn from the ocean and then distributes that rain all over the land, so Parjanya was completely full, completely saturated with all the good qualities a person could have. And he was so merciful and compassionate that he would distribute his wealth and his knowledge and these good qualities with everyone he met. So he was named Parjanya. And he was also a great, great devotee and a great person, but he was, by lineage, he was half Kshatriya and half Vaishya, which had some weight in those days, your birth. Just like, look at the case of Radheya, Karna, who was actually as good an archer as Arjuna, but he was never respected because of his lack of a good lineage. So does Parjanya. He wasn't discriminated against, but still it was a consideration that, oh, his mother was Vaishya. So while his brother, his half-brother Surasen was ruling in Mathura, Parjanya Maharaj decided to move across the Yamuna River, and he moved to Mahavan. And he took up residence with the cowherds living there. And when the cowherds saw, not only, first they saw, oh, he's from a Kshatriya family, and they also saw he was so kind and so intelligent and such a reservoir of all good qualities. All of the cowherds in Mahavan decided to make Parjanya their king. So Parjanya Maharaj became the king of the cowherd men. And for a long time he ruled, and they lived very happily there under his rule, with Surasen in Mathura as the official, I'm doing air quotes now, the official king, and Parjanya Maharaj as the king of the cowherds in Mahavan. And everything was going on nicely. And over the years, gradually, Parjanya Maharaj had some children. He ended up having 5 sons. And those sons were named Upananda, Abhinanda, Nanda, Sunanda, and Nandana. And these sons were, all of them were as glorious as the father Parjanya. They were all so qualified and such great devotees. And years went on like that. The sons grew up very close to each other and an intimate part of the cowherd community. And then finally, as Parjanya Maharaj became older, he decided it was time for him to retire and devote his life exclusively to Krishna Bhajan. So he retired, and as a king does, he handed over his kingdom to the eldest son, who was Upananda. But Upananda, after accepting the kingship from his father, said, actually, I'm giving the kingship to my younger brother Nanda, because he's actually way more qualified than I am. So Upananda gave the kingship to Nanda, who became Nanda Maharaj, the king of the cowherd men, and Upananda and the other brothers all remained as his advisors. And actually it's said of these 5 brothers that they were all so wonderful and such great devotees and so qualified in every way that they were comparable, just like the 5 Pandava brothers. And just like the 5 Pandava brothers, of those 5, the most famous and the most qualified and the most dear to Krishna of all was the middle brother, Arjuna. So similarly, of these 5 sons of Parjanya Maharaj, the middle son, Nanda, was also the most dear of all. So he was given the kingship of the cowherd men, and the other brothers remained as his advisors. So this is Nanda Maharaj, the father of Krishna, the king of the cowherd men. And meanwhile, back in Mathura, Surasen was the king, and he also had several sons. He had, I think, 10 sons. And they were also all glorious souls, all great souls, these 10 sons of King Surasen. But one of those sons, when he was born, was so wonderful that the demigods in heaven actually started banging drums, banging kettle drums that everyone could hear at the time of the birth of this one son. So because of that, this one son got the nickname Anaka Dundubi. Anaka means Ana Akash, from the sky, and Dundubi, the beating of drums. So he was given this name Anaka Dundubi because at the time of his birth, there was beating of drums by the demigods in heaven to celebrate his appearance. But actually, his formal name was Vasudeva. So this is Vasudeva, the father of Krishna in Mathura. So this is the relationship between Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj. They're actually some kind of cousins. So they were very close. They were close friends and closely related in family. And there was such great love and affection between them. And Surasen had his wonderful son Vasudeva, and Parjanya had his 5 sons and his wonderful son Nanda Maharaj, and he trained them all up perfectly. In the Gopal Champu, there's a nice little exchange between Parjanya Maharaj and Nanda Maharaj. We know, like in Mahabharata, there's this segment of the Yaksha Prashna, where Yudhishthira is being asked questions by the Yaksha by the lakeside, and the Yaksha will ask a question, and he'll get an answer, and a question and an answer. So there's also a segment of questions and answers between Parjanya Maharaj and his son Nanda, where Nanda is asking questions and Parjanya is giving answers. So here's a short segment of it. Nanda Maharaj says, "What is the cause of fear?" Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yes, Nanda Maharaj says, "What is the cause of fear?" His father Parjanya says, "Karma is the cause of fear." Nanda Maharaj says, "Then what is the shelter?" Parjanya Maharaj says, "Bhakti to the Lord is the shelter." Nanda Maharaj says, "What is the most cherished object in this world?" Parjanya Maharaj replies, "The devotees of the Lord are the most cherished." And then Nanda Maharaj asks, "What is happiness?" And Parjanya Maharaj replies, "Krishna Prema is the only happiness." So this is the quality of these great persons and the nature of these great persons, that they were amazing, incredible devotees. Of course, we know they're eternal associates of the Lord, fit to take part in the Lord's pastime. So how qualified are they? But they had all good qualities and learning, and they were such intimate, close friends with each other, Nanda and Vasudeva. Another way you could get an idea of the great friendship, excuse me, of the great friendship between Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj is, I guess this would have been a few weeks or a few months ago, from the 5th chapter of the 10th canto, the meeting of Vasudeva and Nanda after Krishna was born and the big celebration I described. Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men decided it was time to go to Mathura and pay their taxes and take care of business there. So they went, and at that time, Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were able to meet So here's a little segment from the Bhagavatam describing that meeting of Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj. This is from 10th canto, chapter 5, starting with text 20. When Vasudeva heard that Nanda Maharaj, his very dear friend and brother, had come to Mathura and already paid the taxes to Kamsa, he went to Nanda Maharaj's residence. When Nanda Maharaj heard that Vasudeva had come, he was overwhelmed with love and affection, being as pleased as if his body had regained its life. Seeing Vasudeva suddenly present, he got up and embraced him with both arms. My dear brother Nanda Maharaj, this is Vasudeva speaking now. My dear brother Nanda Maharaj, at an advanced age, you had no son at all and were hopeless of having one. Therefore, that you now have a son is a sign of great fortune. It is also by good fortune that I am seeing you. Having obtained this opportunity, I feel as if I have taken birth again. Even though one is present in this world, to meet with intimate friends and dear relatives in this material world is extremely difficult. Many planks and sticks, unable to stay together, are carried away by the force of a river's waves. Similarly, although we are intimately related with friends and family members, we are unable to stay together because of our varied past deeds and the waves of time. My dear friend Nanda Maharaj, in the place where you are living with your friends, is the forest favorable for the animals, the cows? I hope there is no disease or inconvenience. The place must be full of water, grass, and other plants. My son Baladev, being raised by you and your wife Yashoda Devi, considers you his father and mother. Is he living very, very peacefully in your home with his real mother, Rohini? When one's friends and relatives are properly situated, one's religion, economic development, and sense gratification, as described in the Vedic literatures, are beneficial. Otherwise, if one's friends and relatives are in distress, these three cannot offer any happiness. Nanda Maharaj said, alas, King Kamsa killed so many of your children born of Devaki, and your one daughter, the youngest child of all, entered the heavenly planets. Every man is certainly controlled by destiny, which determines the result of one's fruitive activities. In other words, one has a son or daughter because of unseen destiny, and when the son or daughter is no longer present, that is also due to unseen destiny. Destiny is the ultimate controller of everyone. One who knows this is never bewildered. Vasudeva said to Nanda Maharaj, now, my dear brother, since you have paid the annual taxes to Kamsa and have also seen me, do not stay in this place for many days. It is better to return to Gokul, since I know that there may be some disturbances there. So this is the warm and loving and intimate exchange between Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj. And Vasudeva can't reveal all the secrets of Krishna's birth at this time, but he's hinting in so many ways, take care, protect him carefully, protect these children carefully. He says at the end, better return to Gokul, there's going to be some disturbances, be careful. So this is the close, loving relationship. And these loving relationships between devotees are such an intimate and such an important part of one's devotional service. We all know how Sadhu Sangha is constantly being praised. So this is Sadhu Sangha, having these warm, loving, intimate relationships with devotees. There's a nice conversation with Srila Prabhupada and the father of one devotee, who most devotees will know, Mother Urmila. So her father got to meet Srila Prabhupada a couple of times. And in one of those conversations, her father asked Prabhupada and said, does loving your children help you to love Krishna? And Prabhupada said, no, but loving Krishna will help you to love your children. So we want these close, intimate, fruitful relationships with devotees, but it's not just ordinary friendship. It has to be under the umbrella of our love for Krishna. Otherwise, like Prabhupada said once also, an ordinary friend. Friend just means someone you go and smoke with them and then go away. So there's all sorts of mundane friendships, and they have their place in society, the material friendships. But spiritually speaking, in developing our Krishna consciousness, there's proper ways and means to develop these devotee relationships, and they should be cultivated, and they should be a strong part of our life as part of Krishna consciousness. What was it, a week or two ago was the anniversary of the founding of ISKCON. So one of the founding principles of ISKCON, Prabhupada said, purpose number 3, to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna, and thus to develop the idea within the members and humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a beautiful and important instruction. It's also very interesting. The first part, he says, to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna. So we're developing our relationships with devotees, and we're developing our relationship with Krishna. They go hand in hand. And actually, because we're all part and parcel of Krishna, our relationship with other devotees, and with all other souls for that matter, is part and parcel of our relationship with Krishna. So when everything is understood properly, we can have these loving relationships as part of our essential part of our Krishna consciousness. So this is sadhu sangha. It's such an essential part in all the scriptures and preaching, and by Prabhupada, it's stressed so often. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastre kai, lavamacha sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hai. That all the scriptures declare sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. And why? Because sarva siddhi hai. From that, all perfection, sarva siddhi, all perfection can come through this process of sadhu sangha, of associating with devotees. And in fact, it's so powerful that it said, lavamatra sadhu sangha. That lavamatra means a tiny amount of time. And I think literally it's like a lava matra is like an 11th of a second. So even just a momentary association with devotees is so valuable, can give so much perfection. But that doesn't mean we only take an 11th of a second. Just like if there's some delicious sweet rice and you taste one drop of it, you could be overwhelmed by how delicious it is, but that doesn't mean you stop at one drop. So we need to drink deeply of sadhu sangha. And there's so many different types and so many varieties of sadhu sangha and so many ways of doing it. Just like you go to the temple and you hear a devotee speak, and that's sadhu sangha. And then there's other things. There's different types of devotees that you relate to in different ways. Devotees that are more advanced, you take shelter of and you pray for their mercy, you beg for their mercy. Devotees that are on a more equal level, you make close, intimate friendships with, like with Nanda and Yashoda. The first example, the senior devotees that you beg mercy from and you offer service to them. That's like when Nanda Maharaj was greeting Gargamuni. Here's a great devotee, a great senior person, so offer him obeisances, serve him nicely, beg instruction from him. Then Nanda and Yashoda are two peers, friends on an equal level, so they have this very loving, intimate friendship. And then if there's someone who's on a lower level, then you offer mercy to them, you educate them, you offer assistance to them in their spiritual life, and develop a friendship in that way. And then that way, all sorts of different persons, an intelligent devotee has to learn how to deal properly with all types of different persons. This is actually the defining characteristic of the Madhyama Bhakta, the middle grade devotee, which is a platform that we should aspire to be a Madhyama Bhakta. His characteristic is Ishvare Tadadineshu Balisheshu Dvisatsu Cha, Prema Maitri Kripo Peksha, Yat Karoti Samadhyama. That the Madhyama Adhikari, the middle classification of devotee, he knows how to distinguish amongst different classes of persons. To Ishvara, to Krishna himself, he offers his love, his service. To Ishwareta Dineshu, to the fallen souls, he offers his mercy. To those who are on the same level, the other devotees, he offers his loving friendship. And to those who are demonic, he avoids them. Just like with Kamsa. This is the principle also at work today. Kamsa is a demon, so Gargamuni and Nanda Maharaj are plotting how we can avoid Kamsa. So these are the principles at work, that the more elevated than us, we love them, we serve them. But those who are on the same level, we offer this intimate friendship. So these are all the different types of sadhu sangha, and the sadhu sangha is exchanged through official things also, just like sitting down for class or offering service or preaching to someone or being preached to by someone. But there's also these warm, intimate, loving exchanges like Srila Rupa Goswami. You could even say in one sense, these are ordinary exchanges that Srila Rupa Goswami describes in Upadeshamrita. That, how does that verse start? Yeah, thank you, Devi. Dadati pratigrinati, bhunkte bojayate chaiva. Refresh my memory. Dadati pratigrinati. Anyway, I'm missing the whole verse, and then sad vidi priti lakshana. That there's 6 kinds of loving exchanges between devotees, confidential exchanging of mind, just like we heard in that Bhagavatam section. I read how when Vasudeva and Nanda met each other in Mathura, and they're talking so intimately, exchanging what's on their mind. Nanda Maharaj, oh, I'm so sorry, Kamsa has killed your children. And Vasudeva is talking intimately, my son is there with you in Vrindavan, how is he? So this intimate revealing of mind is one of the exchanges of loving friendship, offering of prasad and accepting prasad, offering of gifts and accepting of gifts. And what's the gift that Vasudeva gave? He gave the gift of his own son to Nanda Maharaj. He had such love and such closeness and such respect for Nanda Maharaj that he actually gave the gift of his own son. And at that time, Nanda Maharaj didn't even know it. So this is the loving exchanges between devotee. We have the official side, and we have this warm, loving exchange. Just like, again, going back to Krishna's birth ceremony, what a huge, outrageous party of, a celebration of just love and friendship between all the Brijabasis, playing games and throwing food and feasting and singing and dancing. And also the official side, that we know who to respect, we know how to properly respect people, how to accept respect, and how to give respect to others. And in this way, sadhu sangha can bloom and can develop in our devotional service. And again, wrapping it up now, this sadhu sangha is so important in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's mentioned that of all the different activities of devotional service, 5 of them are so powerful, so important, that even just a little bit of any of those 5 can elevate one to the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Nam Kirtan, Sadhu Sangha, Bhagavat Shravana, Ishwara, Ishwara Murti Sevaya, and Mathura Vas. I'm getting the verse wrong, but those are the 5 elements. That hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, association with devotees, worshiping the deity, living in the holy place, and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. These 5 activities are so powerful that even just a touch of any one of them can bring one to the stage of Bhava Bhakti. And it's also very interesting to consider that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when Srila Rupa Goswami is discussing these 5 activities, when he's discussing sadhu sangha, he describes them with very particular words. He describes it as swajatiya snigdha. Swajatiya snigdha means affection between swajatiya. Swajati literally means within one's own caste or within one's own classification. But what it means here, swajatiya snigdha, is friendship between those who are like-minded. So we're friends with all devotees. I think Prabhupada gave the example, just like when a man marries a woman, by marrying the woman, he's automatically now has a relationship with the wife's entire family. So similarly, just by being devotees, we immediately have a sense of friendship with every devotee. But very close and very intimate, and these very important and powerful friendships are especially present in the case of swajatiya, with those who are like-minded, devotees who we could really open up to, who understand us and we understand them to a great degree, and we have similar concerns and similar interests. So that greatly facilitates these loving relationships. And again, all of these loving relationships have to be remembered are a subset of our relationship with Krishna. Just like one instance many, many years ago in Gita Nagari, one devotee at his house hosted a Super Bowl party for the devotees. And all the devotees, not all the devotees, a handful of devotees went to his Super Bowl party and had a good time. And someone said to me after, oh, it's sadhu sangha. So they're devotees, and different devotees have different interests. I'm able to criticize because I'm not into sports, but I have my own vices that I'm into that may interest me. But this is not really sadhu sangha. It all has to be under the umbrella of one's loving relationship with Krishna. And when it's done properly, it's such an important part of our devotional service. And just as the relationship between Nanda and Vasudeva is such an important part of the development of this Leela of Krishna appearing in Vrindavan. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. First of all, there was just so much, so many wonderful points in there. I was kind of just in my mind, making note of a lot of them. The first one that you said was about, which was in the verse about how we can't always do everything perfectly according to the highest level for whatever reason, but we hope that Krishna will accept whatever we can offer. He fills in what we lack, and my thing is that, I want to make sure I don't use that as an excuse either to just it's good enough. Krishna will accept what I can offer. So that was one thing that kind of jumped in my mind, was that for me to be mindful of that, to not
that's a good point.
Use it as an excuse to say, yeah, this is all I can do today, and not to strive for the best that we can do. So I'm feeling like, okay, I should always strive to do the highest possible offering, the highest possible job that I can do for Krishna. And sometimes a lot of times I'm just going to fall short due to circumstances, but I always have to strive for that and not get lazy or complacent and say, I don't feel like it today, so Krishna will accept whatever it is. So
very good point. Could I make a little comment on that point?
Please, yes.
If you have the right kind of friend who really knows you well, that friend can say to you, wow, what you're trying didn't work out perfectly, but I could see that you really tried to do it. Mm-hmm. Or that friend may also say, you're trying to do this thing, you might be holding back. I know you could do better, and then you could try more. So a friend can also help you in that. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Thank you. The other point, if I may, you were talking about the different ways to relate to different levels of devotees or different levels of sadhus and people, so that how to have a conversation or a relationship with someone that's higher than you, someone that's equal to you, and then someone that might not have the same level of devotion, that might be a little bit less, devotional, and how to have those different relationships. And I was wondering if there was any place you could point me to kind of understand that, see that a little bit more, to reflect on that.
Offhand, I can't think of a particular reference or pastime with that, but I'll think about it and get back to you. Does anyone else in the audience recollect any either incidents with Prabhupada or Shastric incidents where that's discussed or practiced?
I mean, I think from Nectar of Devotion, that was kind of the one place that, where you're talking about the Madhya Adhikara,
Yes.
having that mentality of being able to really, I think that was Nectar of Devotion, or that.
Yeah, actually, that's from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, that particular verse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'm sorry?
Hare
I'm
Krishna,
sorry.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Just a couple of things. First of all, the questions that you talked about, Nanda Maharaj asking his father Parjanya.
Yes.
Where can we read about those?
It's in Gopal Champu, so I'm not sure how hard or easy it would be for you to find that.
Okay.
Gopal Champu is that by Jiva Goswami?
Okay.
I could look for a more specific reference or where you could find it and maybe get it to you, but I just happen to have it on hand here. I'm not sure where to find it.
You seem to have a lot of resources at hand.
I've collected stuff over the years.
I was just thinking about the ceremony itself. What is important in the ceremony is the samskara itself. Like you were describing the celebration that the Brajvasis would have afterwards. All that is also very nice, very desirable, and nice to have. But one without the other is better if it is the samskara that is done, but not the celebration. It seems like, and this is in our non-devotee families and friends that we have, that I have noticed. The samskara is just, just you get it out of the way, and then everything else is where the focus is. And coming into ISKCON, I have understood what the importance of the samskara is. Without the samskara, the celebration actually doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then the last point was that lavenapi, lavanam is also salt. So, the importance of salt. It brings out the entire dish. It brings out the taste in the entire dish. So it may be that it's you were saying 11th of a second?
Yes.
But I was just thinking that it could also be, lavanam is the salt.
Like salt, you just add a small amount, but it makes the dish perfect.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And I'll say something about your second point about the how could you say, the samskara part and the party part. Mm-hmm. That they're both important, but as you said, the samskara has to be there, just like this is what's happening in today's verse. They can't do the celebration, so they're just doing the minimum. They're just doing the samskara, but without the celebration, without any public ceremony. They just go into the place, and then Gargamuni reveals the past lives of the children, but there's no party, there's no celebration. So when possible, they're both important.
Yes.
Also, I'm not, this is not Shastra or anything, but sometimes Westerners, because we weren't brought up with the culture of samskaras, we may not be very, it may not mean as much to us as it does to those who are brought up in a culture where samskaras are essential. So we may see it a little differently, but both are important. And the samskara is certainly essential. Ravindra Swarup told me one incident. He was talking with Prabhupada, and it was either about I think it was about marriage ceremony, about the fire sacrifice. And Ravindra Swarup was asking, is this ceremony actually important? And Prabhupada said, we are not unceremonious. So these ceremonies, the rituals, the samskaras, you could say official activities are vitally important, but the involvement of the community and the celebration and all are also vitally important for most of us as well. But that was a good point. Thank you. Anything else?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
See, this samskara and the party you're talking about. See, actually, it came up like, party and calling for people, we're giving prasadam. That was a kind like of, when we are doing samskara, we should do some annadana also for everybody, devotee.
Yes. Yes,
But
very good point.
of late, that party is becoming, it's kind of like of controversy, like their house, they made a lot of sweets in their party, but this party, it's not that much. And the sweet is like that rice is like that. So like that, things are going other way. Not that appreciating or anything. So that is why the party is becoming actually only party. So nobody pays any attention on that samskara and what the mantras are being said by the priest and what they're saying. Nobody's interested in that. So the party deviates other things.
I can't comment on what's going on around the world and in different places, but I'll just say that your point is well taken and that both are essential.
Essential.
The mantras, the ceremonies, the tantras are all essential. And just like Prabhupada also said that at every ceremony, there must be chanting of the holy name there. So there should also be big kirtan, which is how we Vaishnavas have a big party. And there should always be every Vedic ritual is accompanied by prasadam distribution.
Prasadam, yes.
So there should also be prasadam and sweets, which is how we Vaishnavas have a party. So it's all important.
All important.
Everything in Krishna consciousness is important. And according to the situation and our ability, we do all of it the best we can. But yeah, maybe some people may overstress one. Some people may overstress another. But we try to be reasonable, we try to be intelligent and do everything as the best we can.
Yeah. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My wife has a, that's the phone. I'll never find it on her phone. But anyway, my wife was reminding me of the pastime of, this is another example, another occasion of devotee prashna, where two devotees are having a question and answer session. And that was between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. And one of the questions Ramananda Roy asked was, what is the most intolerable situation? Is that the question you're thinking of? Yeah. Ramananda Roy asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the most intolerable situation? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I can't think of anything that's actually intolerable except for being separated from the devotees. That's the only intolerable situation.
That's correct.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Last questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You mentioned the Gopal temple by whom, Prabhuji, like about the Nanda Maharaj, the family past, means family tree something. So is it not is he not part of like extended from Nahusa, Yati, and then Yadu dynasty, then started and Kuru?
Yeah, Nanda that was my whole point, that yes, Nanda Maharaj is actually part of the Yadu dynasty. He's in the Yadu dynasty. He's the cousin of, or half cousin, I don't know how these things are calculated, of Vasudev. But Gargamuni's point was, because you're a Vaishya and not a Kshatriya, people don't normally think of you as being part of the dynasty, but actually you're part of the Yadu dynasty. And he said, but if we do the ceremony very gorgeously, and if Kamsa hears about it, now he's not thinking of you as part of the Yadu dynasty. But if he hears about this ceremony and knows that I'm doing it, then he'll be reminded, oh yes, he's part of the Yadu dynasty, and then he'll start oppressing. So yes, Nanda Maharaj is definitely part of the Yadu dynasty, but normally this dynasty business is normally more concerned with the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, so people don't normally think of Nanda Maharaj that way, but he is, yes.
Okay.
And actually you can find it online. There's a nice, it's actually a diagram of the genealogy of, all the great personalities in the Bhagavatam. It's very interesting and worth looking up if you have a chance to do that. Okay, anything else? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Are there any last announcements to be made, Mother?
Leave that to Drona.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I'll just make just a couple things here. We are very grateful, Acharya Prabhu, for you to share with us today. Really sweet, really sweet. A lot for us to take in, and a lot to learn as well, from your class. Thank you so much. We have another class this evening on getting ready for Janmashtami by Ananda Vilas Prabhu. That'll be at 4:30. You can watch that on either YouTube or on Zoom, the same Zoom channel. And then we're also approaching Krishna Janmashtami, which is Tuesday, and Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, which is Wednesday. So more information is out there. I'm not going to repeat everything, the whole schedule and stuff. It's been floating around. But if anybody has any questions about that, because we are in COVID and there are restrictions and wondering what's kind of going on at this particular time, please make sure you reach out to me if you have any questions about that. Okay. Actually, Mother Shobharada, you were going to, we talked yesterday about Krishna book reading on Tuesday. And if there was if we had enough interest to do a Krishna book reading, we can utilize the Zoom as a room, so we don't all have to physically congregate, but there's something that we can do. You were going to see if there was an opportunity to put something together. You have any more thoughts about that?
Yeah, I was just thinking tomorrow when I meet with the Sunday school kids, if I can ask them if all of us could meet again Tuesday morning and read, and then if we agree on a time, then maybe you can add that when you send your next newsletter blast. Would anybody over here be interested in reading the Krishna book Tuesday morning? We could do it for a couple of hours.
You.
I am interested.
What time, Mataji?
Golokananda Priya.
We can just decide now what time. Drona Prabhu said that Zoom is going to be used from 11:30 to 1:30. So it will have to be earlier in the morning. I'm wondering if we can just continue from Bhagavatam class through say 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we can do that, Mataji.
I'm just trying to think, because all of us have services to accomplish. I have to take something to the temple in the evening. But I think we should be able to do it if we just continue from Bhagavatam class till 11 o'clock. And then if Acharya Prabhu or somebody could suggest what chapters would be good to read. I will ask, I think I should engage the Sunday school kids. They're all older kids. They can all come and listen.
That sounds good. We put it out there. So when we convene, we have people, they can think about it, what their schedules are like and their level of participation. Tomorrow we can confirm it maybe at the Bhagavatam class tomorrow.
Yeah, so we can, so Bhagavatam class ends at approximately 9 to 11, 2 hours we can read.
Okay. So that'll be on Tuesday.
Is there that online version available for the Krishna Conscious book, PDF version?
Yes, a Krishna book is on Veda base, so we can put that up when we are reading.
Okay. No, can I download it? Is it available online for downloading?
I'm not sure if you can download from Veda base, but I know Krishna book is on Veda base.
Okay.
You can read.
Thank
You
you.
can read from
You can read from
database.
yeah.
I don't think you can download.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're at the top of the hour here at 9 o'clock. I think we can conclude here. Again, thank you, Acharya Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
for your
All
association.
glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha
Kripasinduvyeva
kripasinduvyeva
Vaishnavevyo namo namaha.
Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Everybody.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for wonderful lecture.
Hare Krishna.